Mike has a podcast which is very, very good. Listen to Mike's podcast, you definitely should. Learn things you didn't know about your favorite TV show. Well, film really. Like, there's a director's cut of The Little Shop of Horrors. I didn't actually know that. And it was the only version I'd ever seen on TV years ago. Anyway, listen to Mike's podcast or I'll kick in your door. Swing it wide open and knock you on the floor. Never seen what, you've never seen what, you've never seen what, you've never seen what, well now you have.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of You've Never Seen What, a podcast where I, Michael Moran, watch a film that I've never seen before based on the recommendation of my guest. This week's guest is Vinny Caravella, one-third of the podcast and streaming group Nextlander, alongside Alex Navarro and Brad Shoemaker. Vinny is perhaps best known for his time at Giant Bomb, where his video producing prowess, small businessman antics, and his hosting of the Giant Beastcast carved his name firmly into the games media landscape. I first came across Vinny's work in 2006 when he joined GameSpot, so his Long Island accent has been in my ears for over half of my life. Sorry, Vinny, I don't want to make you feel old. Almost 5 years ago, he started Nextlander. Oh, God, it was going so well. Almost 5 years ago, he started Nextlander with longtime colleagues Brad and Alex, where they continue to pump out hours of high-quality audio and video content each week. You can find their work at patreon.com/Nextlander. Vinny, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me on. Most of that stuff is true.
Most of it.
Most of
Okay.
it. Yeah. We
Not
won't say which
over half my life. That bit's not true.
No, we're all very young here. we're all spry and just feeling great.
So, Vinny, how is this is a loaded question. Bearing in mind you are living in the USA, not to dox you, and considering what's going on. But how has your 2026 been so far?
Oh, I think I could speak for the rest of the USA here, and I will. It's great. Everybody is very happy all the time. It is. We didn't think we'd actually reach this peak happiness, but somehow, really, against all odds, it's amazing. People just walking down the street. I've never seen, I don't know if you've ever heard the sound of thousands of people just jumping and clicking their heels at the same time. It's cacophonous, really. It's really something. You should do something about that. All that stuff aside.
Yeah, well, the existential dread aside.
Yeah. That part, if we take apart the side or push off to the side of the, what will 2027 be if there is one? I'm doing great. Like I personally, I'm very happy. Like you said, I get to work with Brad and Alex. We get to do our thing at Nextlander, which is basically just play video games and then talk about them and run that business. And I've got 2 kids, and they're awesome. And they're now 12 and 14. So those are really fun ages. And I'm not even using air quotes. I think it's very fun. I feel very lucky. So my 2026, relatively, I'm doing quite well.
Yeah, amidst the cicada swarm of heels clicking.
Yeah. I mean, that's just so all the time.
Don't forget as well, in roughly your neck of the woods, we'll be having the World Cup very soon. So that's going to bring its own host of brilliance, I think.
And people should know that I am selling metro tickets and.
No, you're doing walking tours from
that's right,
Central, from Manhattan.
I will take you there, and they're only $4,000 a piece, which I think sounds like a pretty good deal considering everything else that's going on. Some of that stuff is just bananas. I don't know. I personally will not be attending. I don't know how much it'll impact me here. I'm sure I will see traffic from it. But
I'm sure there'll be lots of memes of certain people. I've noticed today that because 2026 isn't dire enough, that James Corden will be hosting a daily World Cup roundup show. So
daily,
yeah, or regular World Cup.
Okay,
I mean there are matches on every day during the World Cup, so perhaps daily. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Is that look? I don't. Maybe this is my ignorance. Is that a good fit? Does that make sense? Okay.
Maybe so he hosted a sports comedy quiz show here in the UK. So there is a slight fit, but I feel like there's 2 exports we desperately wanted to get rid of James Corden and Piers Morgan, and you guys sent them straight back over here. Well, not straight back. You had them for a few years, but now we are dealing with them again.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to get rid of James Corden again, even if it's just for the summer.
We're very discerning. I mean, if you look inside the United States, the bar is so high. Like
for
really,
every Cary Grant, there's a James Corden.
That's right. Yes, yes. We really have such a threshold of the characters we allow in here, so it makes sense to me.
So, Vinny, I kind of mentioned this to you before we started recording, but I have, and in the intro, but I have been listening to and reading and watching the stuff that you've been producing now for over half my life, since about 2006, 2007. So it's a bit surreal, really, chatting to you now. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. And just to be extra cringe, I have worn a Whiskey Media 2010 T-shirt to show that I'm not one of these fake fans.
No,
I'm not a Giant Bomb Saved by the Bell the New Class fan.
You were there before it was cool. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, right.
Although I just continue to love those guys on that site. I think it's great that we can continue to experience some of the, what you guys are doing, what Jeff's doing, and everything like that. The more things, more independent media in this industry, the better. Especially given the doom and gloom that we often talk about with major outlets. So, next month is 5 years since you started Nextlander.
That's bananas.
I doubt anyone will be listening to this who doesn't already know who you are or what Nextlander is. But I was trying to, how do I sum up Nextlander? It's not a site, it's a collective.
I would
say it's a cult.
I would say it's a cult. Yes. Nextlander is, I would say, a continuation of a lot of the stuff we did at Giant Bomb and GameSpot, and then Whiskey Media. And I would say, if I were to put it on paper, I would say Nextlander is really it's probably podcast forward. It's a kind of a more of a podcast, and then we also do streaming and stuff like that. We don't do reviews. We don't do a lot of written content or any written content really, but it's mostly us still continuing to podcast to talk about video games. But we also just reached out or have broken out to do movie stuff and other areas of interest. But it's getting together to talk about video games and seeing where else that goes. And it's a great excuse for us to, and especially me, to be able to play a lot of video games still, and then verify how wrong I am with an audience, about a video game. Because otherwise, my wife doesn't care, so she's not going to be like, well, actually. But the audience will, and that's very important to me. But I told my wife this a long time ago. This is before I was even at GameSpot. I was like, I just want to talk to people about video games. Like, I just want to share that. Like, all your friends are into jazz and music and stuff like that, and I just want to talk to people. And now she says, well, how do you feel? You get to talk to people about video games all the time. And really, it's exhausting. But no, it's fantastic. I love it. And Nextlander is a smaller, more intimate version of other times we have done this.
Yeah.
We're not there to take over and grow the company by 20% every year, right? That's
no. You don't have the corporate overlords like dangling the budgets in front of you.
And so Nextlander gets to be a version that we really are direct to the audience, and it's a Patreon funded, and then we get whatever minimal amounts from streaming on Twitch or YouTube, but we try to avoid any kind of big big ad campaigns that you might see, or we've kind of become burned by when we were at other places, forcing us to go do ads we didn't really want to do, or have to take on sponsors we didn't want to take on, because there were so many bills at some of these other places. And we're pretty happy to just be supported mostly by the Patreon. And I say that for now, but like we talked about with 2026, everything's really expensive.
Yeah.
And so we are trying to figure out, all right, can we keep doing this? Will we have to maybe do a little bit more on the sponsorship side? And our audience has said, yeah, that's fine. Go do what you got to do. But we kind of come from, and you know this, and maybe a lot of listeners know this, come from an era of doing this when it was a little more rigid in the wall between editorial and, getting game sponsorships and stuff like that. And we sometimes feel weird about those things colliding for
Yeah.
better or worse. I think really nobody cares anymore, but except the three of us, and we're just like,
Yeah. I mean, the industry has changed to the point where that kind of separation of church and state, so to speak,
yeah,
is different in the in a realm of Twitch streamers and influencers anyway, because a lot of people are going directly to them, and there is kind of like a different perception from the audience. But in terms of like, paying the bills, obviously not going to get into that here, but with places like Nextlander, you know, post games, min max, all these places, which is absolutely fantastic that they're able to um, reach their audience directly without that kind of corporate oversight. But
yeah,
I listened to a brilliant podcast a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago now, from Derek Van Dyke, called Pixel Spectrum, where he talked to very good freelance games journalist Ashley Schofield, and he talked about the concept of the same $5 being passed around all these
yeah.
places. Is everyone's they're passing around that same $5 because oh, support us for $5, support us for $5. So yeah, it is. I do wonder if there is like a bit of a mini bubble there, and I just hope that people can continue to sustain and continue to reach their audience. But cost of living, man,
it is, yes, and it is. It just keeps going up, and we just had our kind of 2026 look at what we want to do, and there are some things we want to reach out and do and branch out and do some other stuff. But one of the things we talked about was like, okay, maintaining costs, everything's more expensive here in the States. Health insurance more expensive. Taxes have gone up, property taxes, this, that, everything, just cost of living. And we don't want to raise the cost on the Patreon. So then, it's okay. Are we doing well enough? Do we need to supplement somewhere? One of the things I'll say that is really interesting to me is we've always, for three of us, we're doing okay. For four of us, we would not be,
Yeah.
so one of the interesting things that comes up once in a while is like, wouldn't it be awesome to have, remap, right? Like join together, and like Giant Bomb join together, and all these places like become a super site. And you say the same $5 being passed around, and this isn't quite the same, but if we had everybody, that's $5, right?
Yeah.
Versus the $15 that might go to a remap in Giant Bomb, right? That same person might give $5 three times, but that same person might not give $15 once. And so so we think that is stuff we think about, and stuff we've always thought about in kind of even the later Giant Bomb days, when we've thought about, okay, what are the different audiences here? People are doing different things. How much can we combine? And how much is the Venn diagram of the audience just one complete circle, versus bringing in new people? It's an interesting business thought.
Yeah, and obviously with the nature of people making massive assumptions in the audience and parasocial nonsense and stuff like that, you probably get a lot of people saying that. I mean, me selfishly, like I miss the days when this shirt was made, when we could have had stuff like the Oktobercast and Tested and Giant Bomb were in the same room
All
and stuff
together.
like that. Yeah, all together, but it's
yeah.
just not. We're not in that world anymore.
It's there was an overhead to that needed to be paid, right? There was a lot of salaries to be paid, a lot of people who then managed those salaries, and all of that overhead. And Brad, Alex, and I at Nextlander, I'll just speak for us there. We cut out about 60% of where the money was going, and by just doing it on our own. There was just so much overhead, office space, and all this other stuff. Other companies. Now, that being said, if you told me I could make what I'm making and have a comfortable living and do that again and not have to compromise and do weird stuff I'm not comfortable with, totally. That was awesome. Those were awesome days to have everybody in the same room. I mean, look, working remotely, I was just telling somebody else this. Working remotely hit when my kids were very young. And I actually, while I don't love working remotely, I like being around people. I wouldn't mind having the option to go into the office, though I don't necessarily want to be demanded to go into an office. I just miss being in a studio and doing stuff live. I'm also a studio person. For people who don't know, I very much like production and working in a studio. I was able to be with my kids during like when they were in like first grade up until like middle school now. And that, I mean, for a parent, that's kind of awesome. I was there for dinners. I was there for, being able to go to their school shows. When I was in the office, I would leave at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I wouldn't get home until about 8 or 9 at night. I just didn't see the kids until basically the weekend. And I've been able to be around from working remotely for so much of these important years in my kid's life. So that's been a real blessing, I think, from doing the remote work. But in my heart, I want to do a podcast with other people in person. I do like that energy in person. I think there's kind of no argument that it's a different vibe when you're around people.
Yeah. I mean, I work in my day job hybrid. I do 2 days in the office, 3 days at home, and I think that's quite a good mix of getting face-to-face time with colleagues, being able to do some collaboration and stuff like that, but also not having to be stuck in traffic on a motorway when I could be seeing. I've got a 2-year-old daughter myself, so like, being and my previous job to this, I was fully remote, and it's something that I don't take for granted. The fact that 5 years prior, I would have been in an office 5 days a week in a city, stuck on a train, jammed, like packed in like sardines. It swings and roundabouts. I get that. But one of the things I was going to ask is like, where does that distinction in terms of like remote work to studio, like where do you find it difficult to switch off? Is there like a hard deadline, or is it,
like working at home? I am actually I am very old, and and so that I actually am pretty good about switching off. But I am also pretty good about turning on everyone. I'm pretty good about turning on. So I make sure that I am on from like, it depends. Some days it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Some days I'll go till 10. So there are days I will try and be like, I'm going to get some exercise in. But once I'm work time, I try to be work time. Yeah. I try to be work time. That means I'm mostly available unless I'm doing something for work where I'm like isolated. But then at like 7 or 8 o'clock, I'm clocked out. Like my phone goes on a charger, and the weekends my phone is on a charger, and I'm like, God forbid you try to get a hold of me. I literally tell people you need to call me. And I actually have a home phone too. Sometimes I'll be like, you need to call. Like I just will not look at the phone.
A home phone.
I do.
What's one of them?
I know. It's amazing. I'm like, that's the way to reach me if you need me in an emergency, or call my cell phone. But if you text me or do something, I may not see it for hours. So I am pretty good about clocking out when I'm done with the work. But like everything else, your phone does like a and you're gonna be like, oh, okay, maybe I should go look at this, and then you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, I'm getting something.
I find it anxiety inducing that vibrate of a phone. Are there anything that in an ideal world, the kind of content that you would love to produce that just isn't practical, either cost wise or time and space wise these days? Is there any like ideas that you've been like thinking about? Because I think about some of the stuff that the stuff that I still go back and revisit from Giant Bomb are stuff like travel logs, the Liverpool travel log, for example, especially because that's my neck of the woods.
Okay,
so
great.
I'm in the northwest, about 40 miles away from there, and those Game of the Year segments, particularly the 2012 Game of the Year, the sitcom. The Office one, not the sitcom. I go back and watch that quite a lot.
I once in a while I watch those too. I mean, so
I don't mean every month or something creepy, by the way. I mean like every couple of years. Yeah, every day. It's my morning routine before I clock in.
Let's see. So cost wise, I'll say cost wise and production wise, I really liked doing stuff that was like the big live show, the variety, like the segment shows that were, hey, we're gonna spend 20 minutes at this segment, and then we're gonna switch over and have another segment. And I love the energy of just producing a thing where it's like, we're going to this set next, and like, okay, ready on this set. And then we just bounce around and do those big variety shows and the kind of like almost like a circus. I really like that. It was very time consuming and it was hard to do because everybody needed to have a bunch of different ideas. The travelogue stuff, I don't love traveling, but I like editing them. I like editing those pieces, but I'm kind of a not shy is not the right word. I get very anxious about filming in places where I think I'm not supposed to be filming.
Yeah.
And so I don't like that. And a good travelogue, I feel like you need to be filming all the time,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing. So I don't like filming in stores. I don't like filming where other people might get caught on camera. And so that's always in the back of my mind when we're filming is like, all right, like how crowded is this place? Did these people know they're being filmed? Did this person just want to go out for a drink and not have a camera, filming them? And
Yeah, I don't know how people like when you see vloggers walking around holding the cameras to themselves. I'm like, how the hell are you doing that? Like, it takes a certain type of
it takes
confidence.
a certain type, or like
Yeah.
even filming stuff inside a store and being like, well, I'll film until they ask me to leave, and like I just don't feel that comfortable doing that. But I do love editing travel logs and putting together a piece that has some kind of structure to it, and where you can put some fun music in, and like we saw this thing, we saw that thing. So editing those travel logs was always very, very fun. And usually, depending on what we were doing, the trip was fun. But I will say the trips where I didn't have to film anything, the first trip I went on to just cover a thing where I didn't have to film anything was like blew my mind. Like honestly, I don't think I even can express what it was like after years of carrying around camera equipment and tripods and all this stuff. I think I got on the plane with like a notepad, right? And I was like, this is
Oh
amazing.
yeah, I can't imagine, especially in like GameSpot production. The kind of stuff that was being done for events like E3. I can't even imagine the stress and the amount of work needed.
It was weird because you're always thinking about where's the camera, are the lenses okay? I don't want to put the lenses in check, and like I've got to carry all this gear off. I've got to make sure I get to the airport super early because I need an overhead bin because I can't check this piece of gear. I didn't bring the right luggage for this, and then you're carrying around everything, and then you're worried about, are microphones on? Is this recording? Is this person going to be good on camera? When is their spot? And when I had to take notes on a game or just play a game, it was like, I'm not gonna say it was super easy because I want to undermine that, but it was just like really like I just need to play this game
This
and
is
ask
what the
some
print
questions.
guys are getting at. So this is
I know. I was like, oh man, do I have my pencil?
Yeah.
It was like I was definitely in a different headspace.
Do I have my press hat? I briefly did a little bit of writing for some games magazines in the UK. And yeah, it's very different. I mean, still very. I think there was probably a perception that they did have a lot more time, but you still have deadlines, you still have crunch, you still have all that stuff. But yeah, I have when you're saying about the pencil, I've got a master's in journalism, and one of the things that I had to do was learn shorthand. So to this day, I still write notes in shorthand. It's the only time I ever use my journalism degree. But the problem is I can write 100 words a minute in shorthand, and reading it back is almost impossible.
Oh, wait, really?
So you can get it down, but you're like, what was I trying to say there? Because there's so much of it is context and stuff like that.
Oh, I have no idea how shorthand even works.
Well, there's two types. There's T-line shorthand and Pitman. I learned T-line, and it is a bit like text speak. Like back in the day before people had full keyboards and you'd write, in the shortened text speak. It's a bit like that. But what you'll end up doing if you're in a court, reporting in a court, for example, you're not allowed to record anything and it needs to be accurate, is you will put the odd actual English word in there for context and to help you.
Oh.
But for your exams, you're not allowed to do that. And they are, in order to pass, you have to get 98% accuracy on your transcribing it back. So you have to do however many, like the examiner will be reading at a set pace. For me, I did 80 and then I did 100. And my tutor wanted me to go higher, but I'm like, this is such an old school skill that I'm just wasting time to go any higher than 100 words a minute. But yeah, you need to. I got 100% on them though, so
Congratulations.
I'm just that good. If you need me in your court reporting, I'll maybe be able to do it.
Wait, so okay, I'm genuinely curious though. Like when you say so much of it is context, okay, if you're doing shorthand, somebody says their name. Yeah. Obviously, there's no shorthand for that. Or are you making stuff up on the fly?
So if I was to write your name in shorthand, I wish I had a pad to do it here. It would, in fact, I mean,
Caravella is like quite a mouthful.
Well, Caravella might be a bit more difficult, but hang on, let me share my screen.
Oh, okay.
We'll do it in Paint. Let's do it.
This is great. This is okay. Great. This is
why
good for the audio people. Yeah.
This is why you need a video podcast. Window paint. Okay, sure.
Okay. All right. I see
Right.
it.
So we've got paint here. So if I was to
Yeah.
write Vinny,
I'll describe this for the people.
well, yeah, you can go on the YouTube channel and see.
Yeah.
I would do
Okay. It's okay.
that's
Oh,
Vinny.
that's what? Okay. I'm going to describe this. You've made basically a V that is then kind of like waving or putting a hand down or something. It's got like an extra foot and then a circle underneath.
Yeah. So the circle denotes that it's a name.
Okay. And read to me what you've written.
I've
Aside
written
from Vinny.
basically VNI.
Really?
Yeah.
VNI. Okay.
Essentially, and someone's probably going to correct me that I'm doing this wrong because it was 2010 that I did it. It'd probably look more like this, by the way. I'm doing it in paint. It's it would be a bit more.
Okay.
Like
another V here, You're making the Van Halen logo. Okay.
that. It'd be like a V into an N and then a little flick at the end.
Oh wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
So the order of the letters don't really matter because when you're reading it back, you'd kind of remember what you were doing.
Well,
here?
the order does because it is still left to right, like you'd normally write, but it's kind of they join up in different ways. The reason it's called T line is you'll do like a T. The other thing is you need a lined paper for it. So say I have this is
like a ruled paper?
Riveting podcast, by the way,
To me,
for the
this is
audio
fascinating. I had no idea we were going to end up here. This is amazing. This is great.
So if I say this is my line, if I wanted to write a T, I'd do that. I'd just do a line like that.
You've made a line, yeah.
Just a line, but because it's up there, I know that it's a T.
Oh, because it's closer to the top line?
Top, yeah.
Okay. What if it were lower to the bottom?
It would be a D.
That makes no sense at all. Wait,
I know it doesn't. So if I was to write, so this is how I do Caravella. I do CR is one movement.
Okay.
VLA.
That's amazing. It looks like nothing. It looks like an R.
But this is why context really matters because there's not many things Caravella could be, but if I was doing just this, that could be a car, that could be cur. Like that could be, and it'll be the context of it. And then you do, Carol probably would need a little E on it. So, but it's hard to express in paint because obviously when you're using a pen, you can get a bit more subtle
There's a
with
flow.
it.
That's cool, man.
But this is T-line shorthand, which is a lot easier than Pitman. I don't know how people do Pitman shorthand. That's just like nonsense on a page. As much as this might be nonsense on a page.
No, this is the real stuff. Yeah.
No,
that's great.
Pitman's the real stuff. This is the basic bitch version, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But 100 words a minute.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah. Why we need to do this instead of just being allowed to record? I know the courts are their own thing, aren't they? They're their own kind of like setup, particularly in the UK when we still have the barristers wearing wigs and stuff like that, the Queen's councils and all that stuff.
Well, have you seen those stenographer keyboards? Have you seen?
Yeah, it's madness. Yeah,
madness.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I've not used one or seen one, but that is a very particular set of skills. Like taken, I don't know why I got to Liam Neeson then. The other thing is there is a very similar thing to the stenographer keyboard that's used for subtitling. For live events.
Oh yeah, like closed captioning.
Yeah, closed captioning because obviously if it's a pre-recorded program they can do it in advance, but when it's like commentary on a sports game or the news, for example, people have those kind of very similar to stenographer keyboard where they can very quickly do it.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
like there's a whole world of skills out there, and now I finally met. You might be the first person I met that I can say is fairly. I'll just say it, fluent in shorthand. They tried to teach me shorthand in high school, and nothing stuck. I had no idea what I was doing. I don't know.
High school? Was it like a journalism class or something?
No, I'm telling you, I'm very old. No, it was in my typing class, and it was we were typing on typewriters. They were doing typing, and I've told this story multiple times, but I'll just say it quickly here. It was a very old teacher. She was about 172, and like she was like, if anybody can type the alphabet without looking at the keyboard, you'll get an instant A. And I had been on a Commodore 64, since I was like 2 years old. So I had a keyboard in front of me and I raised my hand. She goes, "Oh, you can do it, huh?" And so I put my hand on the keyboard and she put like a napkin or something or a cloth over my hands. And I just typed out the entire alphabet and I got an A and I didn't have to do anything else in the class.
Sorry, moving away from the mic to talk then. I thought, I don't have a Commodore 64. I do have a ZX Spectrum 128 plus 3 up there, which looks like a Commodore 64. But the original ZX Spectrum, which I don't have, but I do. Oh, here it is. Hang on. Everything's falling down me. I have a replica thing here.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
So this is one of, like the mini console trend of the mini NES. They did a mini Spectrum, but then everyone was like, well, it's stupid because you can't use the keyboard. And the whole thing with the Spectrum is the keyboard. So they did a full-size replica instead for about the same price.
Oh, wow.
So this is what the Spectrum actually looked like, but this is a HDMI plug in your own games thing.
It's smaller than I thought. Is that's the actual size?
That's the actual size of one. But if you look, the keys have different functions on them. So that's compared to a Commodore 64, where it's basically a standard keyboard. The Spectrum was a little bit different because there was other things you were supposed to do with each key. So it really, and the keys are rubber. They're really.
That's wild. So they're not just like clacky old.
No, they called it the Rubber Keyed Wonder. That's what they called it.
I've been called worse.
So anyway, this is ostensibly a film podcast, but we've kind of got off track. Sorry, Vinny. I'm already 40 minutes in and we've not discussed films. Apologies. As an aside, I can edit this out. If you need to run and I'm waffling on too long, sorry. Okay, so in the realm of film and TV then, what have you been watching? Have you been watching anything interesting recently?
This is not going to do anything to help me out with the joke that I'm old. Okay, so I've been watching a lot of
fishing.
Columbo. Yeah, fishing, Bassmasters. You've heard of it. Columbo and Monk. I have been watching. This is true. I watch Monk with the kids. It's the thing that we all get together, and I literally just watched a Columbo. No, not yesterday. Sunday. It's Monk when my wife is around to join us. It's Columbo when she can't. So the kids know Dad will watch Columbo, and when my the mom is around, we watch a Monk. And they also watch together. They'll watch House, and I'm not a huge fan of House, the medical drama, because I don't like watching people get sick and the whole thing. I'll watch somebody get murdered. But yeah, so Columbo and Monk are the things I go back to as like my comfort shows. TV wise, like that is a little more modern. I recently watched all of Pluribus. I watched there was another series I just ate up and I cannot remember what it was. Must have been a really good one. I just went to the movies and saw the MK movie. That was the new Mortal Kombat movie.
Right, yeah. How was that?
It's all right.
It exists.
Yeah, it's okay. I hadn't seen the previous one.
No, I've not seen that either.
Yeah, this one was okay. I recently watched Hoppers, which I'm sure you're very aware of.
I am aware of it, but
okay.
I will say that because I've got a 2-year-old, she's not really in the film watching age.
A little early.
And she is also a little bit behind in her talking and stuff like that. So we're still in like the Wiggles, Miss Rachel, Barney the Dad. Like some of the stuff that was on when I was a kid. Huh? Old school Wiggles from the early 90s and Barney from like the late 80s, early 90s. She will watch and be glued, transfixed to it. We
were Wiggles. There was something. Oh gosh, what was it? My daughter had some. It was a yellow something, yellow ribbon, yellow bow, yellow something that was a Wiggles. She dressed up, I think, as one of the Wiggles at some point for like a Halloween or something. And I can't. So the songs were in there. Kids programming is it's a wasteland. Like it is like there's so much. I think people who aren't around little children or don't have little children maybe don't realize the carved out section of some of these services that are just kids stuff because they probably never see it, like Netflix or Amazon or something. It's a world, man. It is like a world of kids programming out there. There's just so many shows that so many people have never heard of.
Some of it's pretty good though.
Some of it,
a lot of it
is very good. Bluey, big fan.
Well, I was actually going to ask because I've only just I've only got a 2-year-old. I don't really have a concept of how long Bluey's been around, or if your kids were young enough for Bluey.
They missed, I think, the best window of Bluey. Like, they weren't young enough to have really latched onto Bluey. But my daughter, who is a couple of years younger than my son, I watched a lot of Bluey, and it was great, and it was awesome, and it was one of my favorites. Tumbleleaf was another show. I could probably go on for. There were some weird ones. Bo on the Go was like a weird athletic one.
Okay, this is just Mad Libs or something.
Yeah. I could probably just make up shows you would never even know. But there were weird ones too, where it's just like, this is 3 minutes of like a ball rolling, or like it's like moving trucks,
fruits that just kind of wiggle on a black background.
Yes,
and stuff like that, and goddamn Coco Melon, which. Coco Melon apparently there's some, again, it's whatever. There's always a research that says one thing or another, but apparently it's very good for children's development at all.
Really?
That's what I've read. I don't want to put myself open for litigation from the Coco Melon Corporation, but some people are saying that,
this is what the people are saying. Wait, so is Coco Melon isn't the kid who reviews stuff, right?
No, Coco Melon is like a CG baby. That sing,
Okay.
But it's very much like the very repetitive songs. So it'll be like Wheels on the Bus, but it'll be somehow more repetitive than Wheels on the Bus should be.
Like, great. Okay.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy.
It sounds like a parental nightmare.
And then there's the kind of pink fong Korean invasion. Like Korean has invaded culture in really cool ways over the last 10 years or so. I think, between your it really started with Psy, I think, Gangnam Style. But since then, we've had so much great Korean stuff. But Pink Fong is the exception. I do not want Pink Fong. Pink Fong is basically Baby Shark. And there's a character, I don't know what it's meant to be, a fox maybe, but it's called Pink Fong.
Okay.
And yeah, that stuff is just... Bluey, I'll watch all I will laugh out loud at Bluey, but this stuff is just not good.
Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff, and I think we were like, we're not watching a lot of this, but there was just stuff that was like almost YouTube kid stuff, where it's just CG animated trucks or something that would just build a thing like a carousel, and my son would want to watch it and just be like, what are we building? And like, we don't know, we'll watch for 5 minutes, and they're like, oh, it's a merry-go-round, and like, he would just want to watch. It was like really mind numbing. But the thing he really watched that was a show called Mighty Machines, where it was just trucks. It was just trucks.
It always comes back to trucks.
It was just trucks for him. He just like watch, and they'd sing songs about it. So I'm not making this up. And I think it was Canadian, but it would be a show about a backhoe loader. And then Mighty Machines would go. And sorry, maybe these are two different shows. I should differentiate, because there was a lot of trucks. There was also an album that was just songs about trucks. Mighty Machines, I think this trucks sometimes talk to each other like, hey, Mary, what's going on? Like, I'm building a skyscraper. That's amazing. Like, let's build this. But then there was one where I think there was this guy, he just wrote like 12 songs or something about trucks. And
was it Cisco? Was it?
No, it was some very nice Canadian, and he was like, it would be like, backhoe loader. And backhoe loader, when you're out in the do back, and then he'd have a totally different one that would be like, impact hammer, impact hammer.
Right. I think you're just trying to deliberately obfuscate the AI from being able to replicate you now, Vinny. I think that's what it is.
It'd be like try and do a Vinny, and it's just like backhoe loader or something that makes it in there.
The classic catchphrase.
I'm telling you, it was wild. And like, it was a thing where this guy just wrote like this album about truck names and stuff. And it was like, not terrible. We watched a lot of it. So anyway, beat that, Coco Melon. I dare you.
Well, you see, I'm trying to think what I was early 90s. So for me, when I was Daisy's age, it would have been, this is going to sound weird. It actually probably sounds a bit sinister, but there was a guy in very colourful Elton John glasses who had an anthropomorphic mallet, and he was called Timmy Mallet.
Like in live action?
Yeah, he was live action, but he had like it was like a soft toy, I guess. But it was like had a face on it and stuff. I think that's what I watched. That's why I'm now talking to you.
Did he hit people with it?
I think so.
Hit people.
Yeah, but also
Maxwell's silver hammer. That's what he called it. Yeah.
I grew up. The other thing is, I grew up in Ireland, and when I think back to some of the stuff that was on Irish kids' TV, there was Irish produced stuff, a lot of it in Irish language and things like that. But there was like a continuity block where you would have presenters. Like a presenter with like two puppets, and they'd like, coming up next is Pokemon or whatever, and they'd talk about it. There was puppets of a turkey called Dustin the Turkey.
Okay.
Who would say stuff to kids like, he had a very thick Dublin accent, and he'd be like, kids, tell your mum to get off the road and back into the kitchen. He'd be like really like misogynistic stuff at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Like, it was insane. Like, when I think back to it, and this is like 98, 97, something around that time. Now, Dustin the Turkey got a life of his own beyond this show. He actually represented Ireland at the Eurovision.
Is he like running for office? Or is this the climate? That was the time?
Maybe that's the end game. But yeah.
It's some of the stuff I said previously, I take back. We've all made some mistakes before, but I've heard that the political climate it now sounds great for him. It's a turkey, a real animated turkey.
I'll show you what he looks like.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever shared screen before on this podcast before.
And here we are.
Yeah,
I'm a very visual learner.
Yeah, so this is Dustin the Turkey.
Okay. Oh no. If you're listening to the audio version of this, you should really look this up. This is extremely disturbing. Are you sure that's a turkey?
He's meant to be a turkey. I don't know why Gonzo's coming up on this as well.
It's probably because this thing is it's like a smushed together of animals. Can you do the picture to the lower right, the one that's next to Gonzo? All the way to the side and up one.
This one.
The Dustin the Turkey has just 4 words for oh my gosh.
Just 4 words to describe Sex Pistols.
Oh, you shouldn't click this.
Oh,
this
right.
Is gonna get
no,
you.
Sex Pistols is fine. It's
yeah.
All right, okay. So it turns out he's got beef with the lead singer of the 70s punk band, the Sex Pistols.
Yeah. It's Johnny Rotten.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow, that's
Irish television.
On you.
Yeah, says a lot about the psyche of the Irish 38-year-old or 37-year-old man, I think.
Maybe we should not be complaining about kids programming at all. Maybe we should count our blessings.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this stuff is at least trying to get kids addicted to the algorithm instead of spending money on plastic toys, like when we were younger.
Or yelling at your mom to get back in the kitchen. I guess. I do wonder sometimes, did I imagine it? No, it definitely did happen. But the weird thing is, on this block of this like continuity block, it was called The Den. Before Dustin, there was two other puppets that were so popular. They were called Zig and Zag, that they made the leap across the Irish Sea and they became stars in England, in the UK, because they presented, there was like a Saturday morning, or it might have been, I think it was just on Saturday mornings. Maybe it was every morning. It was called Big Breakfast. It was like a news current affairs show, but a bit edgy. It was like more aimed at like 20-somethings. So, you know, like you'd have like Good Morning America or whatever. Imagine that, but aimed at like, a 20-year-old who's hungover from being out the night before at university. And they were on that. They kind of made the transition from kids' TV in Ireland to adult TV, I guess. With the same kind of but adjusting for the
cheeky.
Tone a bit.
They were cheeky. They weren't like Dustin. They were a bit cheeky, but I will say as well, Dustin had 2 #1 singles in Ireland. One of them with Bob Geldof, a duet with Bob Geldof.
What is going on over there?
I think sometimes maybe, especially with how everything's doom and gloom, people over in the States might think, oh, it's like Europe's this socialist, free healthcare wonderland. But no, there's some weird shit going on over here.
I'll take it. Like we've got our own weird thing, except like, our Dustin the Turkey would be, trying to hawk, sell your, buy gold. Or something, or like supplements or something like that. Yeah,
I don't want to think about Dustin the Turkey selling gold.
He'd be like, it's time to buy gold, bro. Tell your mom to get off the road and buy gold.
There was another, I don't know, I'm reminiscing about Irish TV now for some reason because that's relevant. But there was every year in Ireland there was a live TV show called the Late Late Toy Show, right?
Sounds
So
awesome.
so we had there's a very long running chat show. I think it might be the longest running chat show in the world. It's called the Late Late Show. I know you have one over in America as well, but there's an Irish one called the Late Late Show, and it's live on a Friday night, and it's been going on since 1960, I think. Most of that with the same presenter. Well, about 40 years of it with the same presenter, and there'd be a special episode every Christmas where basically it'd be like a 3-hour long extravaganza where they'd show the latest toys that were coming out, and it was kind of like for kids to get excited for Christmas.
That sounds great.
It was so good.
I mean,
and
I'm sure
it's still
it's a
on
giant
now.
commercial, but like
It's a giant commercial, but
yeah.
it was kind of fun. And the host would wear a woolly jumper, and it was like, oh, what's going to be on his Christmas jumper this year and stuff like that. There's a brilliant clip, which I'll send you after this, of Jerry Seinfeld appearing on the show. And the host keeps calling him Jerry Seinfeld and keeps trying to make bee puns. Because they were promoting B-movie at the time.
Oh, okay.
And it is one of the best, like, if you want to sum up the awkwardness and the strange cultural differences of Irish television compared to United, like, Jerry's just, like, face, like, what's going on here? Like, like, really? This is what I'm on? But yeah, I'll have to send you that so you can have a look. Sorry, we've gone completely off track, Vinny.
No, we're right on track.
I was going to ask, actually, just as we're talking about kids' shows.
Yeah.
I know that you like your G.I. Joe stuff, and I think you're into your Transformers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Was that what came first for you then with those? Was it the toys or was it the cartoons?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I don't know for sure. It's probably the toys. I think. But I can't be sure. I'm not sure. I played with the toys more than I probably watched the cartoons. So I was more of a fan of the toys than I was with the cartoons. The toys were just fun to play with. I would just, play with the G.I. Joes and the Transformers. Transformers, I think, is still one of the best toys out there. I mean, even modern Transformer stuff is still pretty cool. It's a toy that transforms into another thing. I mean, right there, you just can't beat it. But I loved it. I used to have a suitcase, like an actual suitcase. I put all my Transformers in. I would then go under my bed, and it would come out, and then I'd pop the two sides and go click click, and on all my Transformers would be in this suitcase that I stored under my bed, and I loved it. I would sit and play in my room and transform them all, and in the afternoon, and then they'd get ready for a big battle, and then I'd spend the next half transforming them all back, and then I get tired and put them away. But yeah, there was Transformer toys. It must have been the toys first. And then when the cartoon was on, I'd watch the cartoon, but like my knowledge of the cartoon is scattered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of missed the cartoon a little bit. I think it was popular when I was a kid. But I was Power Rangers. I was like all in on Power Rangers.
Oh, see, I mean, you're a little bit younger. I think Power Rangers, yeah.
And when a couple of years ago, I was like, oh, I never had a Megazord. I was like, went on eBay and like I did the thing of buying the stuff that I wanted as a kid, and some of it was in boxes, and it was like, now it's just all on shelves out of sight up there somewhere.
Yeah, but you have it.
I do have it. I have a Dragon Zord, which looks really cool.
See,
up there.
Have they gone? Did they make like nicer versions of those?
They have done in the last few years. Yeah.
Okay.
But the weird thing is Power Rangers, because it was a Japanese franchise, Super Sentai, it was so intrinsically linked, the toys and the show, is that Bandai actually designed the stuff for the show. It was kind of like an inverse thing where they were involved in the design. I've gone out of focus. They were involved in the design and would produce it, but now Hasbro owns Power Rangers. So there's been like a dip in quality, really, because there is kind of like a weird thing as well, where because the Power Rangers is still based, well, it's finished now, but it's still based on Super Sentai, you would have the Japanese Bandai toys based on Super Sentai of the same things that Hasbro were creating in America, but there were two different companies making them, different molds, different quality. So some people would like go and buy the Japanese ones, even though it's not technically the same thing.
Yeah.
But it is the same, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Sorry, go on.
No, it's a similar thing sometimes with Hasbro and Takara Tomy for Transformers. Yeah. Where it's like, it's the same thing. It's just some people are like, I only got the Takara Tomy version of this, and like, we'll get the Hasbro one. Yeah.
I had, I think, one Transformer as a kid, and I couldn't tell you what gen, what version, or whatever. All I know is it was a Megatron
Uh,
that transformed into a very realistic looking handgun.
yeah. I mean, you had the one. You had Megatron. I mean,
When
that's
I was about 5, and it was like
yeah.
this, like really, like
What
it
is it?
wasn't like colored funny, like they did
No.
color stuff,
What is it? Walter P something, I think is the model of the
like the
gun.
James Bond gun, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just a
PPK.
gun. It's
Yeah.
just a gun.
Yeah, that stuff like that's wild in retrospect.
Yep.
I'm just remembering now, like I had like um a toy, the knives that are like telescopic and you can pretend to
Yep.
stab,
Mhm.
but it was like shiny
Mhm.
plastic, and I just had the blade bit and brought it to school. And I went to a Catholic school where I was taught
Uh-huh.
by nuns, and
Mhm.
so it was like, why is this 5-year-old got a blade with him like a shank? It was like, yeah,
You're
obviously.
just yeah. Hey, stuff
Dustin
happened
the
in the
Turkey
Bible.
Dustin the Turkey told me to bring it in school.
That's right. By the way, get back in get back in the kitchen.
Go and make me some tea, nun, sister.
Yeah. Yeah, those old toys, for good reason, went off the market. We used to have. I mean, this is the United States, so every small child just had a real gun, but we also had plastic guns that were just replicas of real guns. They were just,
Yeah.
and we just run around in the woods, just going off and playing army and doing whatever in the woods with these very realistic looking guns, and I would imagine that in that climate today, that would be a recipe for disaster. Like no orange tips, no like bright neon colors. They were just gunmetal gray or black guns.
Saying that though, like my dad, American guns is the thing everyone says, but like my dad had growing up in rural Ireland, he had shotguns. He had I think Boer War era rifle that had a bayonet on the end with a blood channel into it.
Oh wow!
And that there was guns around when I was a kid in Ireland, but not handguns, not assault,
not handguns,
not assault rifles and stuff like that. You would be more likely, I think, to be a kill by a child, probably be run over by a tractor as opposed to being shot accidentally. And I've said this before on here. A classmate of mine, when I was 12 years old, used to drive into school on a tractor and park up in the car park at the school beside the teachers.
Like he himself would drive the tractor?
Yeah.
Just driving the tractor.
Yeah, he'd just come off the tractor, he'd have his wellies on, he'd been working on the farm that morning, he'd have Wellington boots on, bully jumper, covered in muck and hay, and go do his classes and then drive home in the tractor. He was like destined to be a farmer, basically.
Was it, I guess the biggest question is, was it novel at the time?
For me, it was. I don't know if,
okay.
Yeah, for me, I don't know if everyone else was like, yeah. Maybe me as the one English person in the school was like, hang on a minute, like.
Right. And then the other weird thing next to him was just a sheep. It was literally just a sheep.
Just a sheep,
was in school.
and then a foul-mouthed turkey.
Yeah. Yeah, he got kicked out though.
Right. So Vinny has picked for me to watch The Last Starfighter, the 1984 sci-fi adventure directed by Nick Castle. I'll just read out the IMDb synopsis of the film. High schooler Alex Rogan conquers the Starfighter video game only to find out that it was more than just a game. It was a test. So he is transported to another planet. He has been recruited to join a team of the best starfighters. That's nicely succinct. I'm judging each of these IMDb synopsis as I get through, because the one for Cabaret was not very good.
Oh,
it was
did
like,
not sum up the
yeah,
movie
it did not. It started talking about, it was about a girly club dancer or something. I'm like, yeah, okay.
It's a little more complicated than maybe the.
I mean, Cabaret is a lot more complicated than I realized before I watched it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be Liza dancing.
Yeah, this is not a complicated picture.
So, Vinny, why did you pick The Last Starfighter?
For a couple of reasons. One, this movie looms large in my head. As a kid, it was, this is the movie where the dream of playing video games manifests into every kid's dream, which is like, if you're good at the game, you will be good at something. Somebody will recognize that you are finally good at something, being like, I'm the best Super Mario Brothers player. And it's there's a couple of movies that are like this, like the Wizard, the movie The Wizard is like, wow, we recognize that you're so good at it's a movie about recognizing talent and playing video games, right?
I thought it was a movie about advertising Super Mario Brothers 3.
It is mostly that, but in order to get the advertisement of Super Mario Brothers 3, you have to be good at a lot of other games to make it to the tournament. So the other thing is, I think this is a wholesome movie. I remember this movie kind of being like a very it's not cynical, really. It's kind of like a wholesome movie where there's not a lot of snark. It's not a lot of a lot of bad stuff doesn't really happen in it. And I kind of want to revisit it and see if I was being naive at the time, my memory of it, or if I'm just remembering it being like kind of a big-hearted movie. And the last part really is I needed to see how that CG held up in this movie, because in my mind those gunships looked really awesome, and I was glad to see they still look.
Yeah,
really
they're pretty
awesome.
good. I was impressed. So I obviously have never seen this film. I have probably seen the first 5 minutes of it or so before. I remember vaguely him playing the machine. I'm probably flicking through the channels or something as a kid. But yeah, I'm glad you picked this for a couple of reasons. One, when I envisioned this podcast, this is the kind of film I wanted to cover off. Like, I've not seen this. I've not seen stuff like The Princess Bride. I've never seen like this big labyrinth, big 80s stuff in particular that I haven't seen. Whereas, the first film that Jeff Canata picked was My Dinner with Andre. So, it's a very good 80s film, but not in the same spirit, I don't think, of the podcast. I adored this film as soon as I started it, and there was kind of one main reason. Is there's a scene early on in this film where Alex sits down and just seems dejected and seems to want for something more, and the music swells, and I'm like, this is giving me the feels of the Goonies, of what else, like the kind of stuff that I watched as a kid and had this kind of hopeful kind of yearning for something more. And considering I'm now 37, I'm watching it for the first time as 37, not as a child. I was surprised it still evoked that in me. Like, I can't explain it. It just kind of gave me almost a nostalgic feeling for something that I never experienced to begin with.
The main character, Alex Rogan, he's cast well. He's a very sympathetic character. He's kind of a nice guy. Like, he's like, he's not necessarily a kid. But he's on the cusp of adulthood, right? Like, he is, he's got to make choices about what the rest of his life is going to be. And he's kind of, he's trapped or feels trapped in this trailer park, which isn't portrayed. And this is why I think I like this movie, is not portrayed as a terrible place. It's like kind of a nice environment. Everybody's kind of sweet.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's an earnestness to it that I really like. And he's not trying to get out because it is a dump. He's trying to get out because he just has greater aspirations.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. And what I was thinking straight away was, oh, of course, that's where they got the trailer park thing from in Ready Player One. Like, he lives in the trailer park. But whereas in that, it's a shithole, basically.
Right.
And, he's kind of taking, like, a lot of what that book does, taking the references but not understanding the reason for the references, and just kind of like splattering Fortnite style but pre-Fortnite, all this stuff together, which is funny how much I've kind of gone back to. Have you ever read Ready Player One, by the way? Because I enjoyed it when I read it, don't get me wrong. I think a lot of people
I believe it's the stacks, right?
Yes, they're all stacked on top of each other. A lot of people have kind of very snarky about that book, and I think it's enjoyable for what it is, but I think viewing this as one of the source is for, like, very much an inspiration for that book. You kind of realize that, they're kind of taking the decoration but not the meat of the ingredients.
Yes,
what I mean?
Yes, they're squinting at it and they're like, oh yeah. Or like the bullet points of like, kid plays video game, kid is real good at video game, kid gets rewarded in real life for the being good at the video game. And I think this movie, well, what did you think? Did you feel like, was I kind of correct in the assessment that it's a kind of an earnest or a sincere movie?
I think it's very sincere. I think that one of the interesting things about it is when you're saying about Alex is just like a nice kid, but he's not a white knight kind of perfect hero. Like, he keeps wanting to back out of this.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, no, hell no, I'm not going to get killed for this.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
almost has to be dragged kicking and screaming into it before he proves himself. Like, he proves himself to himself, I guess, so to speak. So yeah, I do think that, but I like how it's sweet, but it's not saccharine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It has a little bit of an edge to it.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, he's not he is reluctant, but I think he, you know, he's got a heart that you know, even in his reluctance, he wants to get back home. He wants to live this life. He's trying to set out for himself, but in true Hollywood fashion, in the movie, he's got this threshold that gets he can't cross, which is I think a school loan, right? Like he gets rejected, right? So back home, you know, his uncle Owen and Aunt Beru have been toasted, right? There's nothing to return to home, right? As he's being enlisted in this greater galactic battle, his returning to home, what is that? And he's sweet on this girl who's also very lovely, and again, not there's no. This is not dark, right? There's like one part in the movie where she comes back. They're supposed to go on this trip to the lake with the rest of the teens, and she comes back and she gets a lift back by one of the other boys. And for a hot second, you know, he's like, "Oh, you got to ride with him, huh?" And she's like, "Yeah, he was going my way, and like, I am actually in love with you." Right?
yes,
Like, and that's it. There's no like other drama about it.
yeah.
He doesn't go over and punch that guy. You know, there's like,
No, the guy's
yeah.
like a bit of a douche, but he's not like
Yeah.
a bully. He's not like, you know, or like, you know, trying to steal his girl or anything like that. Yeah,
It's really just like I think they are genuinely sweet on each other and like have this very, very nice relationship. And just like everybody else in this trailer park, very supportive of Alex. Like when they all gather around as he's going to beat the high score.
yeah.
And
That was a bit where I was a bit like, what? Okay, right. I can buy that he's being transported to another world by you know, pulling the digital sword out of the stone, but everyone being so excited about this kid beating a high score, I was a bit like, what the hell's going on here?
I think it's just like everybody kind of likes this kid and they're all supportive and they all want him to they all think he's going places and he's like the you know, it's one of those he's the best of us kind of thing. He's always helping out, and I think that's very sweet. I don't think you don't see that in modern movies where it might come across as, like you said, maybe too saccharine or just like, not believable. He's like nobody's this kind.
Yeah. So we meet Robert Preston's Centauri character then quite early in the film, who is I read that this character was written for him, and you can kind of tell in a way. It's a very sing-songy, wisecracking, rapid-talking kind of role. And I kind of like the ambiguity. Obviously, we as the viewers know what's happening, but he isn't like an alien. Well, he is an alien, but he's not visually an alien. He has something that kind of looks like a car. You know, really, I actually really like the design of that car spaceship, by the way. It's really cool. It holds up. And he's whisked away to whatever the name of the planet is. I can't. The lore of all the planets and stuff like that, I didn't really.
There's like a federation.
Yeah, there's like multiple weirdly named people and stuff like that. But we get into the CG, as we talked about already, straight away. And now, what I was a bit surprised by this because I knew it was a pioneering computer graphics film, and then I was kind of thinking, oh, is it just because of the game that he's playing quite a lot at the beginning? I didn't realize that pretty much every time we see something in space, it is completely computer generated. I was kind of shocked by that for 1984 because I know we had Tron a couple of years prior, but Tron was a mixture. It was rotoscopes. It was, you know, there was a lot of stuff merging together with Tron, and also the CG elements were very simplistic. Whereas here, it looks pretty good. Like, I was kind of impressed.
Yeah, like you're not gonna a modern video game blows this out of the water. I mean, like maybe like a PS2 game blows this out of the water, but like I think the designs hold up, right? Like the rendering might not hold up. The animation is okay here and there, but Yeah, I think for how they use it, some of the explosions are a little corny. Like
Well,
the
the explosions aren't CG, are they?
yeah,
They're the things where they've pasted them on, and you can. There's a few things as well with the laser blasts where watching it in 4K, where you can see the square outline of where they've like put the celluloid on top to animate
yeah,
it.
like
Like
moving around.
it's like you've not got your transparent layer properly in
Yeah,
Photoshop.
right.
Yeah.
It's not. It's you still left it at. Unfortunately, you left it at 2% instead of
Yes.
a yeah.
Exactly, but I kind of appreciated that in a weird way. It's. I mean, I've just discussed the good, the bad, and the ugly with Johnny Amazic, and
Mm.
one of the things that I appreciated about that film is the fact that you can sense how difficult it was to achieve some of these shots and some of these things. Not to say that modern CG isn't artwork, and I feel like people are probably unfairly disparage the fact that so many things are CG these days, because it's not. It's still not easy. It still is a massive craft. It's just as what happens a lot these days is people will be reliant on it from a filmmaking perspective in terms of we can fix that later.
Hmm.
Whereas when you look at the people who are kind of like the pioneers of CG, like someone like James Cameron, they weren't just CGIing something in; they were affecting the environment as they were filming it to make the CGI look like it was going to actually be there.
Sure.
And that and so there's still massive craft in all this stuff, but I kind of appreciated how this was really, there was nothing like it. Like I looked up, they created it in Fortran. Like
I know
it's
on like a Cray computer. Yeah, like the
yeah.
supercomputers. Like I think they're like wheeling in supercomputers of the time that are just these gigantic towers to do this. I agree with you. I think a lot of computer graphics these days is meant to be invisible, and a lot of it is invisible. Like we don't even notice it. Sometimes you know, you go in and you're like, oh my gosh, it was like not snowing when they shot this and the snow looks amazing. Or
Yeah.
you know, how much of this scene is composited? Well, it's probably like 60% in any given scene, but it's supposed to be invisible. Here it's front and center. Here there's no mistaking when they're standing in front of this polygonal ship, right? And you know, you're not going to get it to 100% realism, but it still looks, the design gets it to match the tone of the movie, right? Like the actual design and the art of it, not the rendering of it.
Yeah. Yeah, the design's great. The Gunbird, was it Gunbird or Gunstar? Gunstar that he pilots looks really cool. The one time the CG it becomes too distracting though is when he's flying through caves inside of like an asteroid or something. Because
Yeah.
that's when you
like
really
sewer
see.
shark.
Yeah, it's real. Like obviously it's still mind blowing for the time, but
Yeah.
man, that was rough.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's on a black background of space, yeah, this holds up. Would it be better? Would it have been better if they'd done a bit of a mixture and not been fully reliant and had some matte paintings and had some other stuff? Maybe, but I think that as like a proof of concept, let's say, for where films are going, it is surprisingly watchable, you know, in 2026.
Yeah, I also think a lot of it, it's funny, the story here, some of it feels so, there's a story of Alex, there's a story of him, the relationship he has with Centauri, and getting recruited and his whole drama. And then there's the I forget what they're called, the bad guys, right?
Yeah.
And they're so disposable. They are so forgettable. And they kind of look like just 80s toys already. Like the one guy with the viewfinder that flip, the two guys with the viewfinders that flip in, the guys in the red that are, I don't know what is wrong with them when one guy's helmet comes off and it's like, this is freaky.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, right. And you're
it feels like there's a lot of, for as much as they do get into the weeds of, oh, there's the frontier and there's this guy and this is my son, there seems like there's a lot of stuff that they maybe cut out or rewrote.
Totally.
Because there's the whole
scene
subplot
missing,
of the one guy who in the starbase who sabotages them and puts the bomb, and it's like, was that signposted?
Yeah.
But it was still weirdly compelling, like the fact that this guy's son has like gone to the other side and he's being promised all this stuff. But I feel like there is a lot it's somewhat, maybe there was, I think they were probably setting up for a sequel. Maybe they were thinking, oh, we're gonna have another one or whatever. There's a reason Centauri comes back at Centauri comes back at the end, isn't there, and stuff like that.
And the other guy, was it Zur, escapes from an escape pod. But yeah, you're totally right. There is there are hints and lines that are like a single line throwaways where it's just like, your rebellion didn't last, and like, oh, there was like political drama inside here and like the frontier, and like, well, I don't know, maybe Sir had some good ideas. Maybe like, the people will rise up, and like, it's for the people to decide. But apparently what we got was the distilled version, which is like, I don't know, your whiny kid defected to the other side and had the codes to the force field and hooked up with these other warlike people on the other side, and that's gonna be bad for everybody.
Yeah, it's almost like they had started to do more of a serious sci-fi film and had all this stuff pre-done. Because when you first meet Xur, I think that's who it is, Xur, he's actually pretty intimidating. The big giant head.
His hologram head, yeah.
Hologram head, which, again, that effect works quite well. And then also shows a spy's head being melted. Like, that was a bit, like, incongruous compared to the tone of, we're saying it's quite nice and quite... There's that, and there's the scene of Alex's beta clone growing inside the bed, where like these are some it's quite frightening looking special effects that really look quite good.
I did watch this with my kids, and I had remembered this as a kid, which the part where the clone is kind of taking on the form. Yeah. And I remember, and I was like, hey, heads up, coming up here, this scene, this could be a bit gnarly to my daughter, who, again, she's 11, and she'll be 12 soon, so maybe that's old enough. But she was like, okay. And then it happened. I'm like, oh, I don't remember it looking quite mannequin-like. And then I realized in my head, I was like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, okay. In my memory, it was burned into my image, my retinas as a kid. I wonder if it'll be the same for her, of like, that's nastier than... Now it just looks very puppety, like inflating and deflating.
You see, I still think it looked pretty good. Like, seeing it fresh for the first time. Like, obviously, I'm not a child. Like, it probably is very different if you're a child watching it. But even to me, I'm like, oh, maybe I was kind of looking at it more from an appreciative standpoint of, that's cool how they did that. It's creative, and it's I like what they were doing.
Sick looking though, like it's like struggling to breathe, like it's like just pulsing and slimy, and the skin's not all there. It's
the idea that he had like taken some kind of genetic sample by touching him as well. Like, it's a pretty cool idea. Outside of the relatively simple scope of the rest of the film as well.
All the scenes with the substitution Alex are fun. Like, it's a fun little subplot.
It's like a fish out of water kind of. He's getting used to human things, and when you're saying there's a bit of an edge, you get a bit of that where, why are you sticking your tongue in my ear and stuff like that. Like, I just need to stop gesticulating because I'm making my camera autofocus. Apparently, they shot a lot of extra scenes for that because initial audience feedback was that they really liked that character and wanted to see more.
They were right.
So I kind of thought, oh, he's going to be killed now when we get the first hitman. I thought he's gonna die, and then Alex will go back off to space. But no, he sticks around for like it's one of the major plots of the movie is him in the trailer park and kind of trying to settle in.
Until he doesn't. Until he sacrifices himself.
Sacrifices himself. I'm thinking, surely he could have jumped out of that truck as well.
I know. That was, we could have lined this up better. Like, we didn't have to, like, do that hard turn into the ship that was broadcasting. I think he's a lot of fun, but I do think the main villain is so whiny. Like, that Xur is so whiny. He's such a little baby. And with his little staff and his little spear. I kind of wish you see him get his, but he just escapes.
Yeah. Well, they might do a sequel. Like, a legacy sequels are still all the rage, aren't they?
I guess you could do, you're right. You could do like a, like they did with Tron, where you come back years and years and years later, and like Alex rebuilt the frontier. He's dead now. But now here's a new threat, and they have to have a new Starfighter. And I don't know. Is it a mobile game a free mobile game you're trading on? Like,
it's a match 3.
Yeah. What? Yeah, you're just rebuilding the frontier because you had enough coins to get the red cosmetic.
Earthling, we have a fight against these aliens where they put 100 of us on a planet, and the circle gets smaller and smaller.
Right.
We need one human from Earth.
And like, you need to be able to dance while while fighting this.
Your dancing skills are legendary. The character I haven't mentioned as well is Dan O'Herlihy's Grieg. He's I was going to say co-pilot, but the weird thing about this is I assumed that Alex was going to be a starship pilot in this. He's a gunner. Like it's a bit weird. He's playing an on-rails game at the start, and he's basically an on-rails gunner throughout the film. Yeah, and I'm like, well, Grieg should be getting more love as the badass pilot doing all these maneuvers and stuff like that.
Like you said, through the asteroid or through the caverns and around all the ships. Yeah, he's great.
Grieg, I liked his little quirks and his little breathy laugh that he kept doing and stuff like that as well. And I kind of realized, have you ever watched Red Dwarf?
No.
It's a British sci-fi comedy that it was from the late 80s, early 90s. Anyway, there's a character called Crichton, and I'm like, oh my god, Crichton is just Grieg. The laugh and everything, he's properly taken from this. It's a very iconic show. Actually, you might like it. It's
I've heard of it. That's
it's like quite high concept sci-fi mixed with jokes about bollocks and stuff. Like it can be quite quite like base humor, but mixed with sometimes quite high concept sci-fi. Like there's a whole season arc where they accidentally prevent John F. Kennedy from being assassinated and the world goes to shit.
Oh.
And so John F. Kennedy goes back in time with them and he's the gunner on the grassy knoll. So he shoots himself.
He shoots himself?
The older version of him. But then they're making jokes, like sex jokes and stuff in between this. It's a good show. It's a good show.
I've definitely heard of it, but I feel like you describing it is making me realize I have never seen it.
Yeah, it's basically, it's a giant red ship, mining ship. A guy gets accidentally put into stasis, wakes up 1 million years later. He's the last human.
Classic.
He's the last human, but his bunkmate in the ship, who he hates, is still alive as a hologram.
Okay.
So it's pretty good. And also there's a character who is an evolution of a cat because his cat was in some radiation shielded part of the ship and evolved over years.
So
or something.
Smart cat.
Yeah, but he is just a human with sharp teeth. It's weird. The actor who plays the cat actually is in a few Hollywood movies. He's in Blade 2, I think, and stuff like that. But
great.
Yeah. Anyway, Grieg's great. But weirdly, I was like, I never have thought that was Dan O'Herlihy, who I only really know as the old man from RoboCop.
So, that's a good pull. I don't think I placed him from anything. He's in so much makeup.
Yeah, but it's just if you look at the character of the old man in RoboCop and then think of Grieg, it's like couldn't be more different.
He's the CEO. He's the
he's the one that gives him the order at the end to shoot him. Yeah.
Yes.
And there's only like 4 years difference between, or 3, whatever, a couple of years difference between those films, and he was pretty old then playing Grieg. Although it might be 80s aging, to be fair.
That's right. He was actually 23.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other stuff about this film that I really, really liked is again, going back to the practical effects. I quite liked all the alien designs. There was a surprising variety of them.
Yeah.
Because my initial thought when he arrives at Starbase was that has Centauri put a video game on all these alien planets?
Right.
But it's not. It was just his harebrained scheme to make money, wasn't it? There must be some kind of bounty for getting a really good.
He's like a recruiter. It's a weird thing. Again, they don't go into it. There's at the end of this movie, there's a thing that's like, go read the book, whatever. And I would like almost want to go check it out because maybe they talk about it more about what makes a starfighter, right? Like, why it sounds like they're doing this almost. Galactic recruitment, right? This high threshold for a starfighter, and Centauri's out there and has to find among like a needle in a haystack. You have to find the right starfighter, and he gets paid off. He gets quite a handsome finder's fee, right, for any starfighter he finds. Through all these other worlds.
Yeah. And it sounds like he's been doing this kind of thing before, and they're all a bit like, "Oh, Centauri's at it again." I know that the concept of this film was, like the sword, essentially the sword in the stone, but with the video game. But thinking about it as well, this kind of thing kind of happened in real life. There was All the spaceship stuff.
All happened.
Dustin the Turkey sent me a message and said, "You have to come to my home planet of turkeys." In World War II, there was like puzzles sent out, like in part of newspapers and stuff like that, and they were basically looking for people who would be skilled code breakers.
Oh, okay.
So like cracking the Enigma code and all that kind of stuff. There was kind of real things where you didn't really realize that you were being recruited by being very good at math or very good at puzzles. You know what I mean? So I kind of like that. I did put something here. Two scenes that I just wanted to mention as well. One is the starbase gets pretty much completely wiped out early on, which is a cool scene. But what I thought was really funny in terms of the early CG, when they arrive back at the starbase, they've just removed the middle part of the model.
Yeah.
Which I just love. There's no like damage. It's just remove those vertices from the model.
Just cut out. Yeah.
And the other thing that I put that one to say is the scene that was really, really cool to watch, but again, it feels like maybe something was cut out, is the Death Blossom scene where he presses the button he's not allowed to push, and then it takes out all the enemies. Because they kind of only really say is don't press that button.
Yeah.
But then it's like, is it time to use the Death Blossom? And I feel like what does it do? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, we don't know. We don't know. I mean, in my mind, since I had seen this a couple of times, I knew that it expends everything, and you're gonna like deplete the battery. You're gonna go on cooldown, right, for a little bit. But watching it again, I don't think they go into that until after, right? Like until after he's expended it, and he's like, we can't move. And I think you don't know that until
because he's like rerouting the life support at one point and stuff like that. It's just a bit, what's going on?
There is also a thing, and again, I like Death Blossom. I think it's so silly that the ship I was watching it with my kids, and my son, I think, was just like, he's just mashing the control. He's just basically like mashing the controls, trying to kill everything. And I was like, yeah, that's basically what Death Blossom is. It's not a very like complicated thing.
He's button mashing in a fighting game.
Yeah. He's just twirling the sticks and shooting as much as he can. And the funny thing is, like, he does that and it works flawlessly, but he was doing pretty well just picking off all the ships. I don't know if we had to go full Death Blossom to make it through there.
But the weird thing is, I think he was running out of ammo.
That's what they said. They
had like reserve ammo for the Death. I'm thinking, why can't you just use that for the main guns?
I guess they they were all down.
I'm probably overanalyzing it as well for a kids movie. This isn't valid military tactics.
Okay. No, you're right. They would never. The Federation would never do this. But the thing that I think is probably the most, watching it again, the thing that stood out to me the most in my mind was, oh my God, what if one other starfighter had survived? Like, this would have been a cakewalk. Like, they had like a group of, I don't know, maybe 8 pairs of people in that little like conference room, maybe more than that. They would have walked all over these guys. One starfighter base. I mean, he does take out the turret, the controlling the like, which is again such a bad design on their giant mothership, which is
the weak spot.
The one weak spot, and it's like not encased in anything. He just shoots it and then whatever. But these guys must have been the bee's knees. Like, if they had more gun stars and a couple of more starfighters, I mean, really.
Yeah, but that's the thing. His ship was particularly good. It was the experimental ship, wasn't it?
Yeah, just because it could spin in a circle and do the. I mean, come on. I mean,
Grieg also a pilot and engineer, maybe.
He's amazing. He's amazing. So, like, I think. I think it's funny that, I mean, maybe that is the whole plot of the movie that I'm overanalyzing, is this wouldn't have worked unless they could destroy the Federation base, right? Like, if they couldn't kill all of the pilots, then this plan would have fallen apart. But it does seem like they were not really up to the task of taking on what is supposed to be the entire other world off galaxy, or like the rest of the world. They sent in like 27 ships to go take over this attack fleet.
Yeah,
right?
But then again, if the good guys only had 8 ships, but they had that whole massive city at the end, but they only had 8 ships exposed on that asteroid.
It's a real there's one speech by, I forget the guy's name, but it's Zher's dad, who's like, "You've been selected because you're lucky. There's some like turn of phrase in it where you almost sound like, yeah, this is kind of a con job, and we send you out to die because we really don't want to fight. And it's like, yes, at the end you see this giant city and be like, get in a damn ship, go ahead. It doesn't have to be a gun star. Defend this place. You have so much other technology, and you're relying on 7 people to go defend this entire portion of the galaxy.
I'm wondering, did Centauri's sedan ship have any guns? Like that could have joined the fray.
That thing is just for pleasure. No, you saw that thing. That is just for a good time.
I don't want to know what Centauri gets up.
You want to put down a towel when you sit in the back of that ship.
Some of the recruits as well, which was just like multi-tentacled aliens. Maybe the controls were HOTAS controls almost, weren't they? Like they were designed for humans, but they only had one human, so maybe everyone else is just like they're just like bashing their tentacles against it.
Flippers, like maybe that's why they're so terrible. It really doesn't feel that well thought out. I would like to have seen it. I think if you're going to redo something here, you have 2 options. Like you said before, you can do it's 70 years later, we've rebuilt the Federation, there's a new threat, or do the prequel, do your like high Star Wars Republic,
young Centauri.
Right? Yes, right.
His exploits.
And like, what was the Federation like at its peak? And like, what about the betrayal and what happened here?
There is definitely a subreddit or something somewhere where people have all this lore mapped out, and they're like, "You don't understand."
Like that's my slash fiction. You should you should read it.
Centauri slash fiction.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'll make a pact with you. Vinny, if you read the Alan Dean Foster book, I will read it too.
Oh yeah, okay. Do you have it up? Do you know if it's is it based on the movie or is it?
I think it's or why is there a sequel? But I think there's a novelization, but they're always expanded, aren't they? Novelizations.
Yeah, I guess that's what I want to know. Is like, it's basically just putting the movie down into a book, right? It's not like the book came at the same time as the screenplay or anything like that.
Oh, hang on though. There's a comic as well.
Okay, now you're speaking about.
There's a Marvel comic.
Wait,
Alan D. Foster. No, it's a novelization. The book.
Okay.
But it's by classic film movie tie-in writer Alan Dean Foster, who did. I'm sure. Did he do? I think he did some of the Star Wars ones. He's like the guy you go to, or you used to go to, if you were doing a novel tie-in to a movie.
Okay. So
Okay. Yeah, he's done. Mainly Star Trek books.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and he wrote Star Trek: The Motion Picture. He has a story credit on the movie, not just the novelization.
So this is no lightweight.
Here we go. Here's his novelizations. He did the novelization for The Thing.
Okay.
Krull.
Okay.
The Last Starfighter.
Okay.
Shadowkeep. Starman.
Okay, you're like naming all the hits.
The Chronicles of Riddick.
Okay. Not going to complain.
Yeah, Dark Star. Yeah, anything vaguely space related. And he has written. Oh, hang on. He did the Transformer Revenge of the Fallen novelization.
Okay, well, forget. Well, you gotta get paid. Everybody needs to.
And Alien. He did Alien.
Wait,
he did the novelization. The novelization
okay.
of Alien, which again is that just a lot of the alien creeps around the ducts.
Yeah. Right.
Spookily.
Squish. Yeah.
Those are cats.
I wonder how faithful it is. That's what I wonder.
But they're always
you gotta pad it out, right?
This is why I knew his name. He wrote Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which is the book between Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back that came out between the 2 films.
Oh.
And it indicated a romantic connection between Luke and Leia, because obviously that wasn't really decided, was it? If we think about it. So that's why I knew his name the most, is he wrote that.
Went a little over his skis on that one, huh?
Yeah, but again, it would have been signed off, wouldn't it? Surely by George, he would have put his stamp on it.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely knew what he was doing. It was all mapped out.
10-year plan.
10-year plan. Yeah, right.
50-year plan for Star Wars.
Did you know about the video game for this for Last Starfighter?
Only from looking up about it. Then I'd know nothing about it or what it is. I'd presume it's trying to be a facsimile of the game at the start of the film.
I also don't know much about it at all. Like you'd think I would. Did it even come out? Was it a released game? Like, this is a thing that I don't. I have no idea about. I feel like I never saw it in an arcade. I never saw it on a home console. Is it a thing that just never came out? It was Atari,
Oh, hang
right?
on. There was it never came out apparently.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like a ROM of it or something from somewhere, like a lost media.
Ooh, that'd be fun. I should go hunt that down.
Oh, it was it was hard. It wasn't a home release though at all. It was on a Motorola 68,000 apparently.
So it was just going to be in the arcades.
The price of the complete cabinet was estimated at 10 grand, which was a very high figure for the time. So it was
Okay.
too expensive basically to
Oh,
release, and it was only about 75% finished.
Ah, boo.
And then the film wasn't a big enough hit because apparently, according to this Den of Geek article I'm reading, so cite my sources, there was supposed to be a TV spin-off called The Starfighter Chronicles, which again was cancelled because the film didn't do well enough. So maybe that's why we had Xur escaping and Centauri coming back. They're going to do a TV show.
We're going to rebuild and we stick around. So the movie did profit though, right? Just
It
not
profited, but it was quite expensive, particularly because of all the CG work.
Yeah.
It did profit, but it's hard to know when you look back at the budgets and the profits from films back then, because it's difficult to know what the market was and what everything is in retrospect.
I wonder if you could. I do wonder if there's an appetite for anything in this universe, like.
So I remember back in the Whiskey days on the Tested podcast, I remember Gary Whitta was trying to get something off the ground back then.
For Starfighter?
For The Last Starfighter, yeah. I think he might have
wow.
even released this. I think it was more of a remake, though.
Okay.
Or like remake / semi-sequel, legacy remake. I think he might have even released the script because it got canceled.
Oh, that's fun because he couldn't get it picked up.
I might look into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the beginning. This podcast will go as viral as that other one. We'll get everyone in on The Last Starfighter. It'll be the next big trend in
We've
films.
already pitched 2 golden ideas. One that's in the future where Alex has rebuilt he's a legend, rebuilt the Starfighters. He's gone missing, and now these young upstart Starfighters need to go find him outside the frontier.
Vinny, obviously I won't play it on here, but it was called The Last Starfighters.
Okay.
And there's a concept reel on Gary Whitta's YouTube page.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was at least some kind of production was beginning. So,
well, don't play it because we have our own stuff and we can't have Gary coming to us and saying like, okay, well, clearly now your podcast
it's like you can't read anyone's scripts.
That's right.
If
totally.
they send it to you unannounced, because you might get sued a few years, and we know how litigious Gary is.
Look, I'm just saying you need to make sure the idea was on this podcast. We had all this gold on this podcast.
I mean, that's how copyright works. You record it as a podcast.
That's why everybody does one.
You get some bearded white guys in front of mics.
And that is law.
Yeah, that's how it works.
And it's international law, both here in the States and abroad.
It's This is rebuilding the fractured relationship, US-UK relations.
That's right.
In
One
the
bearded
spirit
white
of
guy
Xur.
at a time. Yes.
In the memory of Xur. I'm sure he's dead now with his big old giant head. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add on the film, Vinny?
No, I like it. I think it's sweet. I wonder what happened to. I do wonder now as some things hit a little differently when Alex goes back to being the legendary Starfighter and leaves Earth again. What does happen to Granny? What kind of life does Granny lead?
Yeah, yeah. And his mom and his little brother, actually. Did they get to visit?
Yeah, and you know, it's odd. They don't go into whatever happened. He shows a picture that's like, here's my family, and there's a dad in the picture. And the mom is clearly out working all day and night.
Yeah.
I think she's a nurse. Or it seems like she's a nurse.
I thought she worked at a diner.
Oh, maybe a diner?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
She's got like a cardigan.
But not at Starlight, Starbright.
No.
Bar. Yeah, it's a different diner.
She's away, and the little brother. They never mentioned the dad really, except for the picture. I don't know, something happened. And so
this is all. It's ripe for our spin-off, origin story, sidequel.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna have a multiverse of content.
I mean, that's probably after our movie comes out. That's definitely just a side series, right? Like, and then we'll do the animated series that focuses on the little kid, and like
Well, we
he'll
have
just
we need the post credit sting like the Marvel films as well, where someone from can we get like Flight of the Navigator to come in or something, or
wait. So you've seen that?
the
You've
kids
seen
from
that one?
I've seen bits of it. I've not really seen it.
Okay.
I remember seeing bits of it and been very confused as a child. Or again, another film I've seen bits of. We'll get the Explorers. They arrive.
These are all other movies I had in mind when I was thinking about what we should watch. These are all really weird space movies. I mean, Flight of the Navigator is not necessarily space, but it's kind of space. The Explorers, how much of that have you seen? It's
I remember the really kind of thinking. Again, I'm talking small child, like 6 or 7. I must have seen some of it because I just remember the kind of crazy hacked together spaceship they were making a little bit in a
yes.
junkyard, and I remember. I think about that, and I think about. Do you remember the film Jack, the Francis Ford Coppola film where Robin Williams plays a 10-year-old boy?
Oh my gosh, I haven't thought about that in probably 25 years, but I don't know if I saw that.
This is a really weird reference. Anyway, so he's a 40-year-old 10-year-old. Anyway, his friends have a treehouse in that film that is like 4 layers high, and
Uh-huh.
they've clearly built it themselves, but it's so cool. And I remember that film, weird film for a 7-year-old to watch, really, in retrospect. But that scene stuck with me in the same way the Explorers thing. I love the hack together junkyard
okay.
nature. Tree houses are cool, man. Like I don't really have a tree I could build one in for my daughter Daisy, but I would love for her to have a tree house.
So if you were to build a treehouse, though, see, I'm a little bit of a worrywart. I feel like I also I think a treehouse is super duper cool. I think I would be like, how safe could I make this thing that is now in a tree that might
Nah.
be 10 or 15 feet high up in the air, right?
Yeah, so I'd probably be like this. I tell you, who wasn't like this is my dad, because we had a tree house as a kid that he built. But what it was is it wasn't built into the tree. It was kind of alongside the tree on like stilts, and it
Yeah.
must have been 10, 12 foot high, something like that. A ladder going up, a fireman pole coming down,
Yeah.
and a rope slide that went down a steep meadow into a man-made hill that existed in the meadow. Because when we moved in, we lived in a farm. But when we moved into the farm, we cleared all the trees and stuff, and it was just a big pile, like
Mhm.
really tall, big pile, and it landed at the foot of that. So, like, I'm thinking, like, we would go up there, rope slide down, climb up this massive pile of old dead trees. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how we all didn't die. Like,
Yeah, of something,
but
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have a tree. We had a fort in our backyard, and it was a suburban backyard. It was not a farm, so it was just like, postage stamp size. But it was just 4 posts and some walls, and I just you just need a space that's your own, right? That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like a
This
cool
had like an
space.
inside bit and an outside bit, like a
Oh,
balcony.
like a
It was-
patio?
yeah, he had. Well, like more like a balcony because it was up in the air, like So
And do you remember it feeling like sturdy and spacious, like when you
yes,
were
it
a
was
kid?
sturdy, definitely sturdy.
Yeah.
I also remember vaguely getting into a fight with a friend, and he climbed up the tree to get away from me. So starting at a base of 12 foot high,
Yeah.
he climbed it was I don't know what kind of tree it was. It was very tall anyway, and I could barely see him in the branches. And again, how did we all die? How
Yeah.
is anyone alive?
There's some people say, kids these days, they need more freedom. They need, to be adventurous. And I agree with a lot of that. And then I think back to my childhood. Yes. And it's like, boy, it was really, well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I don't want to turn this dark. Not everyone did,
Yeah.
you rolled the dice sometimes. You're like, I don't know. We ate whatever was on the ground. And like not everybody, sometimes you just eat the wrong thing that was on the ground. And you're like,
Could
oh
be
boy.
anything in Long Island as well. Couldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was mainly potatoes.
No, it wasn't potatoes in Long Island. I'll tell you that. It was something else.
I do think sometimes when we still lived in the kind of little town, they built like a new like housing estate behind us. So that construction of that housing estate was our playground. So
Oh.
when the builders went home, the construction workers went home, we were running up and down the temporary staircases on the scaffolding.
Really?
Yeah, and I remember once, and I was with my babysitter at the time, who he probably shouldn't have been letting me do this. It was like a 2-story house they'd built. and there was like the temporary wooden staircase that the builders would use to get up to building the second floor out, or the first floor. We say first floor in the UK. I don't know why. I would say that's one of the weirdest language differences between US and UK's. We have ground floor, first floor. You have first floor, second floor. Yours makes more sense, I have to admit.
Well, we'll also call the first floor the ground floor, but like we'll just because we usually steal everything. Well, it was just appropriate.
No, but then the second one is always the second. For us, it's
weird
the first.
to me. Yeah. So we'll go ground. Hey, take me to the ground floor. The first floor, the ground floor. We'll
first
do both.
Floor you would be still having to go down some steps. I remember running to the top because we were playing, me and the babysitter, and falling at the top, and a nail had gone through my shoe. And if that nail hadn't gone through my shoe, I would have fallen from the top because it was I wasn't hanging.
Wait, you weren't pinned by a nail, yeah.
I wasn't pinned by a nail. I wasn't fully hanging. I was still had some leverage on some of the joists. But because that slowed down my momentum and kind of kept me in place, I didn't fall.
Caught yourself, basically?
Yeah, I kind of caught myself by my shoe with a nail. And that, if I hadn't done that, I would probably have died.
That's terrifying. And I don't know.
Kids today, they're just soft.
That's
walk.
Or somebody from Red Dwarf came back in time and planted that nail there.
No, it was again. It all comes back to Dustin. Dustin was whispering. Dustin the turkey whispered in my ear.
Or Dustin the turkey was like, "If you're working construction, just leave whatever you got out there, whether it's a board with a nail on it or
I think it was at the same site. My brother accidentally knocked some blocks onto his foot, and so we went to hospital.
Oof.
And the doctor wrapped it up in plaster. It's broken. It wasn't broken. It was a crush injury. Another doctor re-diagnosed us because it was getting worse. The doctor had not accounted for the fact that children have more bones than adults.
Oh,
so he thought there was a fracture.
Oh,
so I don't know what this doctor was doing, but basically they'd tightly compressed the crush injury and made it worse.
Is he okay now?
Oh yeah, this was 30 years ago.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know what happens if you
My story wasn't last week, Vinny. I wasn't running around a construction.
The babysitter part was
my
extra
babysitter
weird.
really dropped the ball when he's 37
I don't
year old.
know what happens if you bind a crush wound. Maybe it's like at some point.
It got sorted fairly quickly. Yeah.
Okay. So you were like fairly deep in the country.
So I lived in a very rural county in Ireland called Leitrim, and the whole county had about 30,000 people in it.
Okay.
My town had about 900 people in it, and my year at school, up until graduation from high school, was 16 people.
Wait,
so the entire year at my school was 16 people, and only 4
including
of those,
the tractor guy,
including the tractor guy, and he's Wellington's same guy actually. We used to do this thing in IT when obviously this is like early 2000s, so I think I was fascinated with the fact that my school had an ISDN connection and could download a JPEG in like 1 megabyte in like a minute. That was blisteringly fast for me. And I was the tech whiz kid because I'm a fucking Spectrum or whatever. Like I knew what I was doing. I didn't actually have that. I had an Amstrad CPC growing up, so I could type. I could do all sorts of stuff. And so I remember this kid about my age. So it would have been at the time probably 14, I'd say. We were doing the European Computer Driving License. That's what they called it. It was like an EU initiative to get kids to learn how to use computers.
Oh, wild. Okay.
I never passed mine because I basically did everyone else's for them in the time allotted. This guy comes up to me with his woolly jumper on and he's thick culture. They call him a bit like redneck, I guess, accent. And he went, Michael, come over here. I have no patience for these pewters.
Okay.
So you didn't even call it a computer. You called it a pewter.
Yeah. And you did it for him?
Yeah, I did it all for him. I then installed on the computers. It wasn't much work, but do you remember Macromedia Flash? It had like templates of like games and stuff, and one of them was like a fly squatting game. And I took a picture of my teacher's head and put it in place of the fly and put that on every computer. And the IT teacher came in and what? And he used to teachers would sorry. He's like, "What's this shite? Oh, that's funny. Good one." He just didn't care.
All right, that's pretty fun though. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, I renamed it "Swat the Teacher." It was. So,
how long were you there?
In Ireland, I lived there for all of my schooling, so from the age of 3 till 17.
Okay.
And then I moved back to the UK for university.
How are people with like? Would people tease you about accents and stuff, or did you like? Did you
Yeah,
have to put one on?
I was I probably had a bit of a chip on my shoulder, really, and it's weird because like now as I'm older, I feel more Irish. Like there was a reason we moved to Ireland. Like my granddad's Irish. We had land there, family land and stuff like that.
Oh, wild. Okay.
Like it's not just random. We weren't just expats from the UK, but I still consider myself English. And I still supported England as a football team, and so that didn't go down well.
I was gonna say you're really. Hey, we said we weren't gonna get political.
Yeah, I'm just going in with the Union Jack, like, yeah, all right, everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure that goes over
Cup of
very
tea?
well. Everything I've heard, it's like, what could be the problem?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going around like Union Jack waving flags, like, all right, do you want me to do your computer work for you? No,
Yeah.
I was there for about 14 years, yeah. But all of my schooling, so I learned Irish, Irish language. It's
Do you
compulsory.
remember any of it?
I remember how to ask the teacher if I can go to the toilet.
Okay, that's what.
Which is an bhfuil ceadagam dulgaidí an leithreas.
That's it. That's a mouthful.
And again, it's one of those things where back then I was probably like, why are we learning this archaic language that I'm never going to be used? And now I'm a bit like, oh, I wish I had, keep it alive a little bit more. Because the weird thing about, well, it's not weird, it makes sense, but it is the official language of the country is Irish.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's in English. Everyone speaks English. Very few people speak Irish as their primary language, but all government legislation has to be written in Irish. The police, which are called the Gardaí in Ireland, are supposed to be able to communicate with you in Irish. So there was one character in my town. I swear to I could write a book. Me and my dad should write a book about my town because the amount of weird characters and stories and stuff like that. He used to get out of speeding tickets by just yabbering in Irish at the cop, and the cop would be like, "Oh, I can't communicate with you. Right, go on."
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
And they knew that they were supposed to.
Yeah. But also, they probably thought, oh, it's him again. Like everyone knew each other.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Very religious.
That sounds like some good memories.
Yeah, good memories. I remember as well because like the only schools in the town were Catholic schools.
Mm-hmm.
So like we would have to go to confession during school and stuff like that, and I just trying to make stuff up because you had to say something. Oh, I fought with my brother. I'll do 10 Hail Marys.
You're never gonna tell them what you really were thinking.
No, not what Dustin was telling me to do. Not
That's
all
right.
fires.
Oh, if I disobeyed my parents, like okay, like I definitely
killed again.
Yeah, right.
What?
You told
Nothing.
Me. Okay.
Nothing. Yeah.
Same thing, just like 3 Hail Marys, like 2 Our Fathers. You're good. Yeah. Confession was always a weird one where I always feel like I'm not gonna. You're definitely. This is not confidential. I don't have this kind of trust.
Not to pry, Vinny, and I guess we're just chatting here. I'll probably cut all this stuff out. You're as an Italian American, you're like Catholic background, is it?
Yeah. Raised Catholic for sure.
Yeah.
Baptized, communion confirmed.
Yeah, same here. I was an altar boy briefly as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had. There's no secret. I had aspirations of joining the priesthood when I was like younger.
Yeah, a lot of people like I remember in my school, I was thinking like 12-year-old, what do you want to do? I want to be a priest, and you think, it's surprising, but people,
it always seemed like relaxing.
I wasn't a good relaxing, drinking all the wine.
Yeah, chill. Nobody's bothering you really.
Have you ever heard of or watched a sitcom called Father Ted?
I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
It's very, very good. I will caveat that heavily with the fact that its writer is a scumbag.
Okay.
A guy called Graham Linehan, or Glinner, he's known as online. He basically lost his mind about 15 years ago, and he's a complete anti-trans person to the point where court cases and all sorts of harassment. Anyway, he's like the figurehead for the anti-trans movement in the UK, and it's such a shame because it's a shame anyway. But it is a very, very good show, and there's a scene in that show where it's a comedy about Catholic priests, so you can imagine it gets into some dodgy territory sometimes. But he's fairly he's fairly nice. The nice character's happy kind of thing. But there's a bit where the main character, Father Ted, gets mistakenly called a racist. Basically, there's a perfectly square piece of dirt on his window. A load of Chinese people have moved to the island that he lives on. They're
Okay.
coming to say hello to him. As this coming, he's gesticulating at this perfectly square piece of dirt, and it looks like he's got a Hitler mustache and he's doing salutes from their perspective.
Okay. Okay.
Which obviously, that's the kind of ridiculous humor it
Yeah,
has.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there's a character, like an old lady, who goes, "I hear you're a racist now, Father. Is that the position of the church?"
Okay.
And I'm thinking that woman is just real. That is my town in Ireland. That is like beholden to like what the Catholic Church says. Very religious. Very, it's just so accurate for as ludicrous as it sounds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah, like my family were not, and my town was not as. I mean, there were definitely people who were very, very religious, but my family was always like better safe than sorry religious. Like
That's the kind God loves the most.
Yeah, yeah, you're
The
right.
just
right,
in
right,
case
right.
believers.
Yeah. They're like, they're better safe than sorry on this one. I have family that is actually very that practices and is very, very strict. But I grew up mostly in a you better off just saying you're on this side, choose a side. But yeah, I still wind up being I am mostly an agnostic now. I am
Yeah.
like I don't know. Look,
Yeah, I'm similar because I kind of hate the militant atheists, like the Ricky Gervaises and the Richard Dawkins who are like, "You're an idiot if you believe this," and I'm kind of thinking, look, I don't believe it, but there's too much we don't know about the universe for us to be.
that's kind of where I
that,
fall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like for us to be that profoundly cocky. Do you know what I mean?
And
We
my
didn't
wife
think
is
it
an
was
atheist, and she's
yeah.
just like, yeah, you're an idiot. I'm like, well, I don't know.
I mean, I do not believe in the Abrahamic religions. Like, I don't believe any of that is real. I believe that there are real people involved in those stories. I believe that Jesus existed. I don't believe he was the son of God. But I also have no issue with anyone that does believe that. I think if it brings you a sense of purpose or comfort or whatever, that's fine. Obviously, I think the problem with religion as a whole, organized religion, is you do get people, bad actors, twisting that to their own whims. And I think that that's a particular issue with Catholicism because of its history and how you kind of don't know. It's that dark period of history where how much was rewritten, how much was lost in
Right.
translation, who changed things for their own whim, which like Roman emperor did stuff. Like things change and we don't have that concurrent thread, or sorry, that persistent thread.
There was editing involved, basically.
A lot of editing.
Yeah.
And I kind of love some of the weird theories around that. Like, have you heard the theories that we're actually in the year 1720 or whatever? There's all sorts of weird theories where someone changed the calendar at some point because it suited them better, and we're not like the Gregorian calendar, and we're not actually in. I love
like
I
all
love
the
stuff
anniversaries,
like that.
all the dates are off.
Around
Yeah.
rubbish. Like it's a load of rubbish, but I kind of like it.
I don't know. But you believe it though, right? Because like people do all sorts of weird stuff all the time. Like,
but look what's happening in America right now, and things being renamed for Trump and stuff like that. It's the same kind of thing on a smaller scale, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean,
currently on a smaller scale.
People want to
The
put their
Gulf of
finger
America.
in. That's right.
Yeah.
And then when they look back at maps, they'll be like, "It was always the Gulf of America." I don't understand. I'll tie it together and say on a positive note, I'll say, I had my kind of conflict that happened with Catholicism. It's not really a conflict, but my thing was basically you can be the best person in the world, but if you don't do these certain rituals, you're not going to heaven. And I think that was where things kind of, if you don't show this kind of weird fealty, then you're not going to be recognized in Catholicism for a heavenly reward. And that to me seemed like a God I would want to worship would recognize that you're trying your best, right?
Yes,
like you are trying your best. And it's okay if you didn't do this thing or you didn't do this thing or all the rituals that seemed like you just said people may have invented for one reason or another. If you're just out there trying your best to be a good person in the world, that would be good enough for the God I want to worship, right?
Yeah, like the concept of original sin, for example, and like the idea that you were born a sinner and until you're baptized. So if you die before you're baptized, what,
Yeah.
you go to hell? Is that it? Is that there's no second chances?
Wow,
you know,
those babies go to purgatory, and we need to
no,
pray for them.
I don't remember the specifics.
I just
This is why I wasn't a very good altar boy.
Yeah, let me just look that one up. You know, I look again. I don't know all the rules, but yeah, I mean, I had a family friend. I remember he would when as soon as they came back from the hospital, first thing we'd do would put them under the sink and basically do a baptism himself. He was not a priest. He was not ordained. He was just basically like, yeah, you got to wash away that original sin.
Well, there is actually, there was a surprisingly big church from my little town in Ireland, and at the back near where the canon lived, there was a holy water tap. So it was like
on tap?
Yeah, you could just get holy water.
Really? On demand?
Yes, on-demand holy water.
Oh, that's you should
I want to
bottle
hook
that
up
and
a
sell
hose
that.
pipe to
That's
thing. Yeah.
That's good.
Start spraying people. Don't care if you're agnostic. You're blessed
Just a
now.
super soaker. Yeah. Wow, everybody is. Yeah. No, you've basically been baptized. That's
yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's a good idea for a film. There, like there's like kids playing with super soakers, and someone's accidentally put holy water in it, and then finds out one of his friends is a demon. This is becoming podcast, Vinny, is becoming
it's a
the
pitch
equivalent.
podcast.
It's the Pixar Story Council or whatever they have. You know, they have like the council of directors that you have to get your story pitch. That's us now for 80s remakes and for biblical horror.
Except that they show this and they're like, any idea that comes out of here, do not do. If your idea sounds anything remotely like this, please stay away. We covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Vinny, it's been 2 hours, and I'm so grateful for you to have been chatting to me for so long. I really enjoyed chatting.
It's been a long road. I don't think some people might be listening to this and be like, no, he's talking about the priest thing again. You know, like, oh, he's running that old super soaker idea, that old chestnut.
It's every
right?
episode. Every episode I bring it up. No, you're the first person to.
It's really like you talk enough into a microphone or something, and like you're just like, I don't know.
Things start to make sense that shouldn't.
Yeah.
Vinny, I mean, thanks again so much for discussing this film with me. Obviously, I've mentioned patreon.com/Nextlander. Where else can people see your stuff online, or do you do much social media these days? I don't. I
really don't. I like you said earlier on, back at the beginning of this. I put the phone down a lot. Like I really don't anymore.
It's the best way.
I find it to be the healthiest way I can live my life. So I don't do a ton of social media. I think I have a Blue Sky account that I really, really use. Really, Nextlander is the Discord on Nextlander. If you're on the Patreon, is where I interact with a lot of people on there.
Yeah.
I love doing Discord on there. But yeah, hey, just what I would say is just go out and be a good person, and that's it.
Vinny's final thoughts.
Yeah. Go to go support Nextlander.
Yeah.
And go. I have it on good authority. These are the two things that are going to get you right.
These are the religious ceremonies that you must do. This is the contract.
I have it on pretty good authority. It's support Nextlander and generally be a good person. Like, I don't make the rules. I'm just here to convey them.
Thanks so much, Vinny, and I'll hit you up when we've both read this book, because I'm going to hold you to it, and we'll do a book chats at some point. Thanks so much, Vinny.
Yeah,
Bye,
my
everyone.
pleasure.